Right, mate, let's give it a go. So this is probably not a keep because we're not curving out here at all. So Mullis, 1 mana, this is a mull as well. So we're going to 5 cards, I guess. I guess we keep this, although we've not got much of an action plan other than the Dreadmangler on turn 3, we can cast everything. So let's assume we're on the play. This guy comes in tapped, go to the next turn. Okay, that was a nice top deck. This guy comes in untapped. So we play this guy. Next turn. So we've top decked quite well here. Dreadmangler comes in. Let's assume my opponent takes 5. We go to the next turn. Cemetery. Now, this is one of those occasions where we get a 3-drop in our hand that's not doing anything. The Ruinator obviously can't be cast because there's no creature cards in the graveyard. So, assume the opponent takes another 5, we go to 10. So we can Chronic Flooding. Let's see what would go in. So we only lose 1 creature. Still can't cast the Ruinator. Go to the next turn. Another Ruinator, which we can't cast. Still only get 2 creatures on board. Because these 3 are in our graveyard. Next turn. Right, okay, so that's probably a loss. We get to turn 7, we've only played out 2 creatures. So the problem with that game there is obviously a multi-5 is never good, and the Ruinator, both of the ones we drew, weren't doing anything for us. So we'll go on to another game. This is much more playable, although it's still not taking off until turn 2. We've got options. I really feel as if this card should be some form of removal though. This should be a much better hand if this was an ultimate price or even a tragic slip or a murder. So, but we'll play it out anyway. We're as well getting this. I guess it doesn't really matter. A swamp or a cemetery here's fine. So this guy would come in tapped, we go to the next turn. Okay, a 4-drop. So we'll play another land. Maybe. There we go. Next turn we'll get a Ruinator, which again, you see we don't have the mana to bring this guy in on turn 3. All the cards in the graveyard. So we'll get the captain out. Go to the next turn. Now we're getting the 2-drop. This isn't a bad 2-drop to draw. I mean, I guess you're. Right, okay, that's what that guy does again. Okay. So this guy can come in. We'll assume the opponent takes some damage off the captain. In this situation, I probably discard both Ruinators to the Lotless Troll because they're not doing anything for us in our hand, and we can cast them back when we get another couple of creatures in. I'm disinclined to discard the Alchemist because he's going to come into play next turn. We've obviously tapped 2 to play the Troll this turn, but the Undead Alchemist is going to come in next turn and start to mill our opponent. So we get a tomb, play out the Alchemist, start to get some more damage in. Treasured Find. Again, this is a dead draw in this situation. So this is probably another card that I would side out for some form of removal. Obviously your opponent won't want to be taking too much damage off with a Lotleth Troll. The fact that he's got trample, he's getting some form of use out of this guy being in play. But in general I think this would be better as a removal spell. So next turn another one. Grave Crawlers, Lotleth Trolls. That game was probably a bit slow to get off as well. Do you know, it depends on what the meta game is going to be like. The likes of Red Deck Wins or Rakdos are way too fast. They are designed to curve out. Against a control deck this might work, but you're going to have to factor in things like Supreme Verdict, which I guess it's our turn 4 now, so on his turn 4 if he did Supreme Verdict we've got the Ruinators in the graveyard, but we don't draw this until turn 6, so we can't actually cast it until turn 6. So that's... See, it's difficult to do it like this because I'm not actually facing an opponent, but I don't think that one would have went particularly well for us either. This is almost a nuts draw by the looks of things. You definitely want to get the Shaman out in turn 1. And then we draw... In fact no, we don't. If we're an aggro deck we want to get the Gravecrawler in turn 1. Turn 2, drop a Lotleth Troll. Swing for 2, opponent goes to 18. Go to the next turn. Psychic Spiral is way up at the top end of the curve, so it's not going to do anything for us just now. Here I probably enchant the Swamp using this mana and swing for 4, assuming he's got no creatures on board. At the end of his turn, obviously depending on the action, we're going to draw 3. This is me milling, by the way, you tap the Swamp, these 3 guys go into the graveyard. So we lose a Lotleth Troll. We go to the next turn, the Swamp doesn't help us. The Scab Ruinator just seems quite clunky. I mean, it's 3 games so far I've had it on turn 3 and not been able to drop it. Again, despite curving out there, we didn't have an awful lot of threat. You know, maybe we just didn't have the creatures to discard to the Lotleth Troll. But if you do get rid of the mill strategy, then Psychic Spiral and Chronic Flooding are going to come out, and they could be replaced with Diregraph Ghouls or even Geralt's Messenger. Do you know, with this mana base, everything's got black in it, so you're going to be able to reliably cast Geralt's Messenger on turn 3, more reliably than you are the Scab Ruinator. An Alchemist. I like the inclusion of this guy, not so much because he mills your opponent, but because he puts threats back on the board. So particularly with the Lotleth Troll, like the fact that he's almost always going to get damage through. Against an aggro deck, you're almost always going to ditch a creature. Against Red Deck Wins it'd be sick because they're running 32 creatures. I definitely think it's got more potential as an aggro deck rather than a mill deck. But like, you should proxy up and see what goes.